Here we have another example of the politicized and polluted Department of Justice and this scumbag attorney general, this little pussy fucking boy, Merrick Garland, who's all up in arms over the alleged threats against school boards and teachers. And he's going to bring down a prosecutor cudgel and hammer upon any parent that doesn't like their child's minds and souls molested and raped by school degenerates, teachers, administrators who want to ruin the soul of kids with racial bullshit and propaganda and what kind of non-binary sexual choice you choose to be. You want to be a unicorn because it's Tuesday? You want to be a girl on Wednesday? You want to wear a skirt and hang out in the girls' room? Even if you're a boy? Okay? And this scumbag weasel, I mean, just look at this genetic little rat, this little turtle. All right? What kind of a man is this? I'll tell you what kind of a man he was. He hid in the library because guys like me slapped the shit out of him just on general principle. You know, there's a reason kids run off freaks like this. There's a reason on the playground normal children go after weirdos. Okay? It's genetically programmed into our DNA. And that's what keeps child molesters out of society. Because scumbags like this are foxes in the henhouse. This little chicken hawk. And he makes decisions on what parents should tolerate in their local school boards and in their local schools. And Jimmy Jordan once again calls him out with the truth. And listen to this little backstroker. And think about what they did to Trump in the Department of Injustice, where they had Mount Everest of evidence against the Clintons and the Bidens, and they craned their necks looking the other way. But if anybody alleged Trump sneezed, they were all over it. If any innuendo was made against Trump and the Ukraine or the Russians or the Martians, they mobilized the weight of the Department of Justice, even as we all know what kind of gangsterism went on at the hands of Obama and the scumbags that are in the Biden family, the Fenians. And here, 40 years after Eddie O'Grady and Waverly Brown were killed in Nyack, New York, in the Brinks killings, Bill Ayers and the Weather Underground, a bunch of BLM radical scumbag communists affiliated with Obama, 40 years and 4 days. Can you imagine? And we're tolerating this shit? There should be violence in the street, all right. This guy talks about he's afraid of threats. Where was the Department of Justice for 70 days in a row when 50 cities were being burned down? And degenerates like Andrew Cuomo were calling it peaceful demonstrations. Or when the Chi-Coms killed 700,000 Americans with their coronavirus, along with their confederates in the American government, like Fauci and the lab at Wuhan and Harvard. Where's the Department of Justice? They're worried about the Russians. The Russians that have 2 bases outside their borders, one in Tajikistan and one in Kazakhstan. 2! We have over 900. Who's out there looking for trouble? Who's picking a fight right now with China? If it was about COVID, I'd be all for it. But once again, we missed the mark. And scumbags like this will send your kids to war for their bullshit and lies. Like Colin Powell, who finally achieved his manifest destiny. He is now posthumous. He is now fertilizer, where he belonged in the first place. And he had the nerve to call Trump a liar. There's over 1 million dead in the Middle East because of his lies. This isn't about politics with me. It's about the truth. It's about morality. It's about right or wrong. And these scumbags are all gangsters. And any dumb liberal that thinks they're your friend, you're going to end up in a gas chamber at their hands. So you better wake the fuck up.
I don't know whether anyone discussed the memo. I am sure that the communication from the National Association of School Boards was discussed between the White House and the Justice Department, and that's perfectly appropriate, just as...
Who were those individuals? Who at the White House talked with? Who at the Justice Department?
I don't know.
He don't know.
Did he talk to you? Did someone call you?
I think I've answered. No one from the White House spoke to me, but the White House is perfectly appropriately concerned about violence, just like...
So he threatened to go after any parent because of an uptick in reports of violent threats against school board members. Imagine this little scumbag liar. But he doesn't know who told him, and he doesn't know how he found out. But he read about it. This is the head of our Department of Justice, the head of the FBI. That's what this scumbag does. And he has the balls to say he has no idea where he got the information before he starts making threats of what he's going to do and who he's going to go after.
They're concerned about violence in the streets, and they make requests of the Justice Department in that respect, just like they're concerned about...
Did you or anyone at the Department of Justice communicate with the American Federation of Teachers, the National Education Association, the National School Boards Association prior to your memo?
That would be the head of the Communist Party. Yeah, school teachers unions.
I did not. I don't know.
You don't know if anyone else in the Justice Department did?
I don't know.
He mobilized the whole FBI, but he has no idea who said what to who.
Did you or anyone at the Justice Department communicate with those organizations, AFT, NEA, National School Board Association, prior to the letter? Did you help the National School Board Association put together the letter?
Again, I have had no such conversations. I would be surprised if that happened, but I don't know.
Will FBI agents be attending local school board meetings?
No, FBI agents will not be attending local school boards meetings, and there's nothing in this memo to suggest that. I want to, again, try to be clear. This memo is about violence and threats of violence.
Let me just point out, the same day you did the memo, the Justice Department sent out a press release, Monday, October 4th, 2021. The press release says, Justice Department addresses violent threats against school officials and teachers. Now, you said earlier to a question from one of my colleagues on the Republican sides that parents aren't domestic terrorists, we're not going to treat them that way. But let me just read from the third paragraph. According to the Attorney General's memorandum, the Justice Department will launch a series of additional efforts in the coming days designed to address the rising criminal conduct directed towards school personnel. Those efforts are expected to include a creation of a task force consisting of representatives from the department's criminal division, Civil Rights Division, Executive Office of U.S. Attorneys, the FBI, the Community Relations Service, Office of Justice Programs, and the National Security Division. Now, I find that interesting. You said there's no way you're going to be treating parents as domestic terrorists, but you got the National Security Division in a press release regarding your memo that day.
My memo does not mention the National Security Divisions. It's addressed...
I didn't say it did. I said the press release accompanying your memo that day from the Department of Justice, right here it is.
I'm going to be as clear
talks about the National Security Division.
So this is right out of the playbook of the Bolsheviks. See? They declare you either sane or insane or an enemy of the state based on what? They heard something. They come after you, and then they get indignant when you claim that they're just like the Gestapo or any other covert, nasty, underhanded, politically charged criminal mob, which is what our FBI is. A gangster mob, a rogue gangster mob. All you have to do is read the memos of Strzok and Page, McCabe, Comey, the altar boys. Yeah, the altar boys. At one point, we're all inverted at the hands of some molester. How else could they be so perverted and have such a disdain for the truth?
Being part of this effort.
I want to be clear as I can be. This is not about what happens inside school board meetings. It's only about threats of violence and violence aimed at school officials, school employees, and teachers.
First sentence of your memo, very first sentence, you said...
See, the threatener, okay? The head threatener If the Department of Injustice doesn't want to tolerate indignant parents who are upset with the molestation of their child's souls, and in lieu of education, communist indoctrination, you don't have the right to your child's manifest destiny or his proper education. You're supposed to subsidize and tolerate these immoral gangsters, the heads of the teachers union, right? And now they have the FBI Gestapo thugs as their terroristic arm.
Been a disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, threats of violence.
Yes.
When did you first review the data showing this so-called disturbing uptick?
So I read the letter, and we have been seeing over time threats.
Whoa. I didn't ask you. So you read the letter. That's your source?
So let me be clear. This is not a prosecution or an
Is there some study, some effort, some investigation someone did that said there's been a disturbing uptick, or you just take the words of the National School Board Association?
The National School Board Association, which represents thousands of school boards and school board members, says that there are these kind of threats. When we read in the newspapers reports of threats of violence, when that is in the context of threats of violence.
The source for this, for the very first line in your memo.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
Was the School Board Association letter.
Expired, Mr. Deutsch.
You know, it reminds you of the knock knock Nazi joke. When the guy says, knock knock, who's there? And then he gets slapped across the face and the guy says, "We will ask the questions." That's what these pricks are all about. And there's little fat Wadler, little fat Jerry Nadler, the New York Lunchman, little Mr. Libtard, heap of calories, making sure he interferes with Jimmy Jordan's line of questioning, because God help America if anyone endeavors to get the truth. We are in dangerous territory, and scumbags like this Merrick Garland should be running for his life.